All right, we got episode number 4, and we got Gabe in the building.
What's up? What's up?
Super grateful for Gabe and joining the Limitless Stories platform. And Gabe over here is a great guy who's a mental health advocate and love of basketball. Look at the background. We got the shoes over there, and he's the host of We Got Us podcast. And we're super excited to have Gabe today because we're going to be exploring the themes of mindfulness, fitness, and relationship building, but through the journey of Gabe, his journey to discovering himself, how basketball and Kobe helped his quest to become a better leader, servant of the people, because he does coaching as well, and other concepts that will come up during the conversation. And that's quickly like a quick intro about Gabe. And with that being said, Gabe, how you doing, bro?
Oh man, we were just doing great. It's like pre hopping onto the former conversation of the call. We're just discussing Gregory's Greg or Gregory. What do you prefer here?
Man, Gregory, whichever fits you,
Talking about Greg's inspiration on the poster behind him, and discussing the shoes behind me. So anytime we can get, I think like anytime we can get more of an insight into someone, like that's one big part of me when it comes to mental wellness. Like everything, if we talk about concept right away, everything matters. I love like for example, one of my favorite things to do is like standing in line in Starbucks or wherever. It's just like I ask people about like their phone screen, their lock screen,
Right.
instead of just like scrolling through my phone and doing nonsense. I just like check things out, find more about people, and his life is so beautiful. I want to know more about people all the time. So
Right. Yeah, that's
yeah,
dope, bro. Like I actually like that. I think I'm gonna steal that from you, to be honest, because I feel like we're so embedded in scrolling and being distracted and trying not to connect with the next person, which is the essence
yeah,
of humanity, connection. So just that quick, like,
exactly.
hey, why you got that wallpaper like that? And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
boom, like that conversation. And that's also like a part of mindfulness. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
it's a huge part of being mindful of your environment, the people around you. So I feel like that actually helps me dive into the first question. Like,
yeah. Let's go. Let's get it.
how did you become interested in like mindfulness and mental health? Like, was there a specific moment or period of your lifetime that sparked your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to my own journey with mental health, I think like therapy really put me on a different path when I got into therapy a lot longer or way before it became kind of in vogue in a sense. Is I was actually recommended to it in my first year of university. Like we were saying, like we're struggling through some stuff, and then like my academic counselor was like, "This is not the place for it. So time for you to go see someone else, like the on campus counselor." And starting from there, I've logged probably over 175 hours of therapy, and I think like when it comes to mindfulness, I think there's nothing that's more clear and crystal than when you sit across the room from someone else whose job is to hopefully get the best out of you, and all you got to do is focus on answering that a specific question that is probably a little bit challenging, and you got to think about it. And beyond that, it's just you versus you, because like the other person in that chair is just like his or her job isn't to sell you anything, it's just to help you. So I think like that helped me open all the doors up from. It's kind of a circle around answer to mindfulness, but I think like mindfulness is just like, if I take that from therapy, it's just like focusing on directly what the next thing is. Because when you're in that therapy chair as a patient, you have nowhere to go, you have nowhere to hide. You just got to answer that next question.
Hey, like I like the concept of you versus you. It's all
Mm,
about your thoughts, your pain points, your struggles. Your therapist is just kind of like a guide to like guide you through or lead the way as you try to figure out the light that is within you, and sometimes it's just shut off and you just got to turn it on.
hmm
You said this started like in your first year of university. Was there like a specific experience that you were going through during that time that led you to like maybe therapy or seeking outside counsel is something that might help me with my mental health?
Yeah, honestly, I was away from home for the first time, and without requisite support, I was just a little bit lost, and so there was a lot of times where I just needed another person to, like you said, put you back on that path. So it wasn't like one thing. It was just a culmination of many things. Plus, I think we've discussed offline before how important it is for males from minority groups to be able to untap what's going on inside. Because I think when it comes to, I'm not gonna like speak on your experience or anything because that's what our conversation's for. But from my own experience, like I've experienced so many examples of what I don't want to become when it comes to emotional intelligence and the way we're dealing with things.
Right.
So I think like to start that journey really, really early at like 18, 19 has allowed me to, I pride myself on like my maturity for my age when it comes to emotional intelligence
Mm-hmm.
because I started that so early.
That's actually amazing that, you tapped into that. As you said, like males from minority groups, culturally we have a bit of like a challenge when it comes to expressing ourselves or having those
Hmm.
spaces to express ourselves mindfully. So I feel like part of the reason for this platform as well is to give people the opportunity to like express themselves through stories that they would otherwise not share. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
that's a part of healing. Part of healing is letting it out, talking about it, kind of like throwing it out to the universe so that you kind of don't suffer with it from within. So I'm glad you started that journey early, and just curious how that has developed and over time, what sort of mechanisms have you delved or dived into to be more mindful in your life? So I know you're an avid
Hmm.
basketball fan. How
Hmm.
do you incorporate the concept of mindfulness into your basketball life?
I think mindfulness is just actually I'm gonna flip that on you for a sec, so I can have more time to think about it. In your 3 episodes you've done before, like what if
Right.
how would you summarize? How would you take the best out of all three of those and be like, what's of those answers you've received so far? So I can kind of like springboard onto those, you know?
Oh man, I'm dealing with a podcast host for real because ain't nobody ever flipped it on me. So, good question. I would say like mindfulness, from what I've observed, is just the ability to tap into activities or both physical and mental that allow you to just be in a state of flow,
Mm,
just be in a state of being. Because I think the biggest thing on mindfulness that I've personally learned is it allows me to tap into my body and my mind as
mm,
it is. So just the concept of being, like you just gotta be. One of my favorite phrases is just be you. And a part of
mm,
being yourself is just being yourself in the element and the environment that you're in. Like nothing can sway you, nothing can kind of shake you once you're locked in your center in doing what you're doing. I think to me that encompasses the concept of mindfulness. So just being and allowing yourself to be in the moment and be in the,
mm.
like, no matter what environment you're in, you're just locked in. So
Yeah,
I would say for me that's kind of like the answer I would give. I don't know if that
yeah,
answers your question,
yeah, for
but
sure. 'Cause I also say like locked instead of mindful, I would say I would get locked into something, you know, because
hmm
I think whenever in this age of we have more distraction than ever before, like email here, text here, you know, Snapchat, whatever, all of those encompass like before, like when we were growing up, like the only way to distract you was like someone walks into your physical space and was like, "Yo, am I able to like schedule a meeting with you or something?" You know. But
right,
now it's like you're getting pulled in 100 directions all the time. So for me, actually, like I don't really have a definition of it, but like I have strategies and like like two main strategies. One would be just put the phone away. Like I literally just don't have the phone on me. It's in another room, so that like so that I have like work specific devices. So I'm on my desktop, I'm on my iPad. Like those are the things I'm doing for work when I use my phone as like more so a communication device and an entertainment device. So like there's specific functions for each device.
right.
And two, I would say time blocking to really get locked in. Like there's when we used to go to movies as kids and stuff, it would just be I'm so excited for this movie because I've been waiting for it to watch. I don't know.
Right.
But then during that hour and a half, like movies were an hour and a half. That's all you're doing. So for me, similarly, if I when I go coach or when I go shoot around myself or when I practice, no phones. This is just what I'm doing. Even if something comes up, unless it's like your house is burned down, like God forbid.
Right, right, right.
This is what I'm doing in this space. Is when I enter a physical space, this is my function for it. Yeah, those are my two primary strategies.
So with this strategies, like I'm curious, like how did you start curating the mental discipline to like, okay, I'm not gonna be on my phone when I'm doing something, and this is kind of like a lifestyle that I'm gonna adopt moving forward because it's not easy. Like I know it's easy to talk about it, but like I'm just curious, like how did you actually formulate that behavioral pattern to like did it start with like was it cold turkey where yo
Yeah,
today I'm not on my phone and then boom
yeah. I have
snowball
an answer for
effect.
that, but I'm wondering what part of it is not easy for you. Like, why do you say like it's not? Which part is challenging?
The challenging part is like changing that behavior like long term
Mm,
consistently because I feel like it's like going to the gym at the
mm,
beginning you can only do 15-20 minutes and then you're like I don't know, I don't think I could do an hour, but then
yeah,
consistently if you keep incremental parts of your workouts to go from 15 to 30 to 40 and then before you know it an hour is even too short.
yeah,
So when it comes to like mental challenges, things like I'm not gonna go on my phone because social media is so addictive, or
yeah,
like texting or emails, like any notification, dopamine spikes up. So
yeah,
instantly I'm thinking, nah, let me just check it.
yeah, yeah.
How do you like stop yourself from doing that?
I think like, well, do you prefer the story answer or do you prefer the strategy answer? I feel like stories are more entertaining. You know?
Limitless stories.
Hey, yeah,
Let's go with the
let's go
story.
stories. Let's go with stories, man. Good, good. So my best friend got married 2 summers ago in Niagara, and I was part of the wedding party, et cetera, et cetera. So then we were going from the reception. Oh, what comes first, the reception or the ceremony? Like whatever the first thing is,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever
yeah.
the first
I
thing
just
is.
came from a wedding. I just came from
Hey,
a wedding. It was the ceremony. It was the ceremony, then the reception.
hey, yes, thank you.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe it might vary with cultures, but I don't know.
Exactly, exactly. So we go from
Mm-hmm.
ceremony to the reception. Thank you for the clarification. And
Mm-hmm.
I was asking my boy, I was like, "Yo, don't you want your phone on you?" And he was like, "No, like, why would I need my phone on me? I'm about to get married." And I was like, "Cool. I'm gonna leave my phone in this bed too, and let's go." Let's. So at the end of those 6 hours, it was like the lights were coming on. It was like 1:30 a.m. Two women came up to me and said, "Hey, we just wanted to thank you for your presence today because like you're sitting at the front of it and saying you were so engaged, you were laughing at everything, you were nodding, you were just you setting an example up there allowed us to be more present and enjoy the moment more."
Right.
And ever since that, I was like, I did nothing differently except I didn't have this thing to go to as a default.
Right.
And then ever since then, like whenever I go to social environments, I'm just like, okay, cool. Like if we were to go to dinner tomorrow, I would tell you, yo, Greg, like we're at Cactus Club. If I arrive early, I'm gonna be inside. It's not that big. I'm fine. Because like
Right.
from that point
Right.
on, I'm just locked in. And like, what if it's an hour and a half? And I've been told so many countless times now that the energy I exude is just like one of the best energies that people have ever met. But I'm not doing anything differently. I'm just not a slave to technology. Obviously, I've worked very hard on my personality and like there's things about me that that bring people joy. But at the same time, I feel like a person's engagement level just goes up. Boom, just be like, let's just chill. Let's just kick it like
Let's
old
just
times.
chill. Right. Right. I love that. I love that story because it really brings the aspect of active listening. Um,
Yeah,
it's such a simple concept where being able to be in the presence of somebody and giving them like your full attention. I've been
yeah.
battling this like in my personal life with like a personal relationship where
Hey,
the person I'm talking to, they get a little bit distracted. And it's like
a little bit.
it bothers me because I'm like, bro, what you mean you can't like but
Yeah,
then it's all about communication. Like, you communicate this issue and you kind of figure out ways to meet in the
yeah,
compromise, meet in the middle. But I think you touched on something really good. Like you have the ability to bring joy to people and like when you engage with them. So we're
yeah.
going to segue to the next section, which is like your love for Kobe and your love for basketball. Talk
Let's
to
do
me
it,
about why that is so important to you and how you got into coaching and how Kobe played a huge impact in that.
man. I think like so many people from our generation, Kobe just meant the world, with like the things that he stood for. But for me specifically, like to myself and many others from my ethnicity and my generation, we had what's called astronaut parents when we were growing up. So we were given
Mm-hmm.
all the financial resources, and then we're like, all right, and then we typically don't see our fathers, for example, because like they're responsible for financially for what we're doing, but then like the emotional the emotional part as well as the academic part is kind of like you've got to go figure it out, right? So
Right.
for me, I spent a lot of time when I was a kid. I didn't just watch Laker games. I would go on back then. You would after the game ended, you could go on to NBA.com and you could stream like the press conferences. So I would actually, because I didn't have that direct male role model, and I have a lot of respect for my biological dad. Like he's given me a lot of opportunities to pursue whatever I needed financially. However, I would say like from a personality standpoint, I would go and watch those interviews because I would like same way that Kobe studied Mike for his on court tendencies. I would study him for his how would he like almost talk. Not almost talk. I would study like the nuances and the inflections of his voice and like the things that he would say. Like for example, like one thing that he one thing that he said was like that I applied to everyday life is like when you go onto the floor, you're able
Mm-hmm.
to take someone's driveway right away when it comes to certain things that you do, right? So for me, like growing up without as a non-English speaker for the first couple of years of being an immigrant here, I use basketball as release as then because if I couldn't speak the language, I could go and take the ball, press. I could pick you up, whatever, 94 feet, pick you up at half, grab the ball from you, score from the other side, and then from there. But I wasn't able to express myself in terms of linguistically, but then like when it came to piecing my personality together, I would say like basketball and Cope specifically really helped with like if we're talking like a puzzle that they helped me they help with the edges of the puzzle because when you do a puzzle you want to get the edges and then the middle you just piece it together, you find the colors, you find the
Mm-hmm.
shapes, whatever. So given that they really gave me a platform to do all those things, and I think without, I would say, I can confidently say without my mom and without Kobe, I'm not the person I am today, as well as many other people. But like those two people gave me the platform to strive for greatness and be limitless.
Right. I mean, you touched on a point on a concept that I'm going to steal it from you, astronaut parenting. And I
Yeah.
think that's a huge challenge to immigrants who move away from home at a very young age. And as you said,
Hmm.
figure it out. There's a lot of mistakes that are made. And I'm super glad that at least you had your mom and you leaned on basketball and Cope to kind of like guide you through this difficult moment with the difficult relationship that you had with your dad growing up. And I'm just curious, how do you see that relationship with your dad? How do you feel like it impacted you in your ability to formulate or nurture other relationships in your life? Like, are there specific things that you feel like, you know what? If this was the case, I would have approached this differently. But like, how overall would that impact your relationship building skills growing up?
I would say well, I'm gonna lead into academia for a sec as a
Mm-hmm.
as an academic myself. Like one of the most important things that I've read in parenting, obviously I'm not a parent, is like the importance of when a child is on the playground and they just like they look around and they see that mom and dad is just like gives them like physical safety, right? Like so I think like something like that when I think I still remember sometimes if we're going to like I remember if we had Mother's Day masses and like Father's Day masses growing up in a religious school,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be one of the only people who like my mom would have to show up for both. And internally I would like it didn't really bother me back then, but then like looking back on it, you're like what do I have to make up for in this situation? And always when you're 7 or 8, you're not really analyzing how is this bothering me. All I knew in that moment was like this is different, right? So I think like providing that fundamental shift to be like this is something that's different, but I think how am I going to figure it out in a way that's not unconventional, but then like to I think that the human brain is beautiful because of how plastic it is, like, and how you can always figure out different ways to figure things out. But for me, I was just like, okay, like, what stories am I gonna limitless stories? What stories am I gonna tell myself here to be able to shift this into something where I don't want to be a victim, and I want to have success in the part in relationship building. So if it comes to having this relationship with Kobe, like having a stronger relationship with my mom, like having strong male friends.
Right.
So I can, I think I would say I have probably more male friends than most people because of this foundational relationship, but because of the lack of that relationship earlier in my life, I just always want to have people I can lean on from a male perspective, be like, hey, like, almost like a counselor, like, as I
Right.
didn't, because I'm not just gonna go and pull up to ask my dad, like, what do you think of this? Because like we didn't build that, but like,
Right.
but my
Right.
boys who have been boys since I was like 12, I'd be like, like, what do you think of this situation here? And then we just boom, 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 and then I'll obviously find an independent solution, but like, I take their opinion very seriously.
Hey man, that's another thing, man. I think coming from the cultures that we come from, being raised, there's a saying we have. It's like it takes a village to raise a child, right?
Hey,
And at the end of the day, it's like your boys are kind of like that community that you lean on to kind of like substitute for that lack of relationship that probably
mm-hmm,
you didn't have with your father, which is amazing. I'm happy for you that you have that community, and that's what we'd want to aspire at Limitless too. Like, just create a community of individuals who want to get
mm-hmm,
better, who want to connect, who want to inspire. And I feel like community is a huge tool, as you said. Like when you go to this school functions and you see your community, which is like your parent or like your family
mm-hmm,
out there. I remember during sports day, like if my parents didn't show up or my sisters didn't show up, I'd feel some type of way, and it would
mm-hmm,
actually literally affect my performance because I'm
mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah,
man, I want to show out for my parents or my mom or whatever. Like,
yeah,
it's just a good feeling. So I'm
right.
happy that you experienced that with your boys. And let's talk about a bit about that relationship
Before we
with your
hop
mom.
onto there, are we able to
Hmm.
unpack at this junction of life now, when you go perform for whatever you need to do?
Right.
Have you now made peace with that, to be like, regardless of what's going on around me, I want to make myself proud first, and then everything else falls into place. Are you there
Ooh, you opening a can of worms. This typically don't happen. This don't happen, bro. Okay, I told you I'm dealing with a podcast host for real. I would say definitely. I think even just I'll use limitless stories as an
Yeah,
example. Like, this is a concept that had been on my mind for a long time,
okay.
but I just didn't have the mental fortitude or the belief in myself to like execute, you know.
Mm-hmm,
And I've always been great with ideas, but execution was always like a moment of, oh, I'm gonna freeze. I can't do this,
mm-hmm,
right? And that boils down to confidence. It boils down to, do I have the self belief that I can do this, right?
mm-hmm,
As of right now, I think the best thing that I did was to kind of like take a break to just work on myself. And
right.
what that allowed me to do was to address pain points that I had that were like contributing. Like, they were, I would say 70% of the problem for me freezing was the inability to address my pain points throughout my early 20s. So
Yeah,
as I continued to grow, and when I got to the point where I faced these problems, where I had went head on, I cut out distraction, I cut out
yeah,
certain relationships to face this.
yeah,
After facing it, it allowed me to like I'm just a different zone. Like, I can't even
yeah,
explain it. I can't put words into it, but it's allowed me to like tap into myself in a different sphere that now I don't. It's good to have those supporters or the fans or the people in the arena cheering for me. I'm still going to perform though, whether it's empty or
yeah,
packed. Like, games still play. NBA, let's
yeah,
use NBA for example. They don't sell out every single night, but the athletes still
yeah,
got
yeah,
to play.
right.
So I take that mentality, like, whether there's fans or whether there's people supporting or cheering, that's great. That's a bonus. You always gotta you
Yeah, yeah,
get fed from like the home crowd energy. But if the
yeah,
home crowd is dead, you still gotta perform. Now you gotta go
exactly.
inside you to like execute. And that's
Yeah,
exactly what I'm doing right now. It's like execution
yeah,
from a self-belief standpoint. This
yeah.
is what we're doing. No excuses. I don't know if
I
that
think that's
answers
so
your
dope.
question.
I think that's so dope that you have segmented belief from confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think confidence is external. It's how you display your belief. If
Right.
you can have confidence without belief, but you can't have confidence without other way around. Yeah, you can have confidence without belief, but without belief you can't have confidence. Right? Like you can fake one, but then like you need to truly believe in yourself. Like if we're hooping, for example, you can tell the people who are fake confident pretty quickly. They
Mm.
miss a couple they turn the ball over, they miss a shot, then they go into a shell for the rest of the thing. Right? Like because they're like, okay, I feel good, and then they make a mistake, they're like, shoot. But a truly self-resilient person does not allow that to penetrate them because they know that they've done all the work beforehand, and they know they have the self belief to be like, let's next play mentality. I'm confident. I'm internally confident with that. I'm going to continue to make this next play.
Bro, that's amazing. I'm gonna have to steal that one too. I'm gonna steal a lot today. I think that's really a good way to put it. Just like you can have, if you have that self belief, then it pours out as being a confident person. But without
Hmm.
that belief, that confidence it can you can snooze it as a fake one. So I
Yeah,
truly love that, and thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
yeah,
I
man, for
think
sure.
before I forget what I was gonna segue into,
Fine.
it's your journey with coaching, like
Yeah,
coaching the little kids. Talk to us about how you dived into that. What inspired you to dive into coaching uh, the little ones, and how that has changed you as a
yeah.
person.
I've actually been coaching since I was like 16. So like this is like my 15th, 16th year of coaching. So like
Woo!
I've really had to.
Greg Popovich, we see you.
So really trying to like figure things out when it comes to because when I first started coaching, I was only like 4 or 5 years older than these people, and I was like, all right,
Mm,
cool. And then not being taken seriously sometimes, et cetera, et cetera. But I knew that from a young age that I enjoyed playing more, or I enjoyed coaching more than I enjoyed playing. Because like as you can tell here, my ability to think things through and my ability to communicate is stronger than the God-given ability I have physically. And that's all good
right.
because I'm at peace with it. So
I love
I
that.
think it's just being self-aware. So all these years later, like I feel that coaching, like I think in the conversation notes you sent me, when it comes to developing professional relationships, I think the number one professional relationship I've ever had to establish is with my athletes.
Right.
These are people that I'm responsible for a group, and if I learned from a young age of I'm responsible for 10 to 12 people, how do I communicate in a way where they respect me without fearing me, and I'm also communicating clearly to them without breaking trust. And then from there, all the work I've done when it comes to consulting, aspiring to be a counselor myself, every role I've had after that, or even concurrently as that, because I still coach today, of course, it just comes so naturally to me because you're working with people, and when you work with people, people have problems throughout the day that come up. If someone's late, for example, instead of before I would be like very judgmental, be okay, like you're aware that like you threw all of our lines off for the game, like we had a specific game plan for like et cetera, et cetera. But then now it's just like all these years later, I realize there's like when a 9 year old shows up to a game, let's celebrate that because there's like so many factors. Like what challenges did you have to get to this game? Right now, I'm just
Right.
happy that you're here. Right, and similar to it's the inverse of you talk about going to your sporting event, like parents not showing up, sister not showing up, et cetera, et cetera. The fact that like this person is has the has the resources to come to this game. I'm happy that we're here, and obviously I'm not coaching NBA, so it's important to be able to celebrate like people's presence that they're here, and then I find out why that action has happened, so it doesn't happen all the time. But at the same time, if I know like if there's something else going on that's being a deficit to why someone can't perform, I need to know that, and then we figure that out from there. And then from like from managing adults, that's the same thing to be like, what is stopping you from performing at your maximum. And I need to know that as a manager, and then we can go from there. And we find out, we build trust, and we keep going. Limitless,
Ah, man, I love that. I love
limitless.
them. I love the mindset shift from being judgmental to being a person of kind of like empathy,
Yeah.
where it's like, bro, I understand. Like life is happening. Like we all got we got stuff going on that we don't necessarily typically see beyond what we present to the world. But there's a
Hmm.
lot of like factors that play into why we behave the way we do. So
Hmm.
I think that's a really dope mindset shift. And that just comes from working with kids, to which
Hmm.
segues to my next question, which is
Yeah.
what challenges or what similarities do you see with working with kids as a coach, and then when you segue into being like um, a consulting business yourself
Yeah.
and dealing with adults, like what do you learn between the two groups that kind of makes you sometimes just be like, we're all humans at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
I think trust, man.
Right.
Building trust is essential to everything. I think there's that one of the things that I stand for is like there's an intersection between excellence and enjoyment, like a Venn diagram there. So if we can continually go into find that middle piece to be like, what take if we take a little bit from section A, take a little bit from section B, and then we always want to be able to find a place where we're doing both. Like obviously not in every single environment. If a pilot's about to take off for a 14-hour flight, that piece just needs to be strictly excellence. Like I hope that like in the back somewhere in his or her subconscious, like that they're enjoying it because like they got into piloting for the right reasons. At the
Right.
same time, when it comes to consulting or coaching, to me, it's the same thing. Like, how do we build in constructs where you're enjoying this thing? For example, like something let's use stories, because limitless stories.
Hmm.
Something I've built into since pandemic is I've read a lot of studies surrounding how children of this generation now have less structured time because everything is built in, especially during COVID, after COVID, and so something to make practice fun is I actually have structured, I call it structured, unstructured time. So I extended practice from hour 15 to hour and a half. So somewhere in the middle of practice or at the end of practice, I'll be like, all right, let's stop. And then if you want to, and then I split the chord into two. One side you can go, you can play ones, you can play twos, you can do whatever. And the other side, I want you to, work on. I give them like two shooting aims to work on. So like you don't need to hear from me all the time. But then if we split you into these two sides, and those are the times as well where I can build relationships with the athletes individually because everyone knows what to do. These are the choices you have, and I can go talk to the parents. I can go talk to them. But if we're consistently doing drill, like it's not fun, you know.
Right. Right.
So, but at the same time, like those are drills like if we play 21, you can figure things out. There's problem solving drills within that that you can also become a better person as well as a better teammate.
Right. I like that. The ability to choose, and then from that choice of whether I want to go do shooting threes or I want to go do dribbling and, learn how to
Yeah,
slide my feet doing defense. Um,
yeah,
it's a choice. And then during that journey, that's when you kind of like, as you said, nurture those relationships. In the spirit of nurturing relationships, like I'm curious, like what are some of the relationships that you've built on the court or in your consulting business that have stood out to you? Certain relationships that maybe started off a little bit difficult, and then at the
yeah,
end
yeah,
you kind of realize, like, after working with this individual, I realized maybe some things about myself that I didn't know, and I
yeah,
realized something about them that I was misunderstanding. So take us through like the concept of nurturing relationships, because I feel like your profession, both as a coach and a business owner, takes a lot of relationship nurturing
yeah, yeah, exactly.
to have a successful business.
Yeah. So there's obviously like client confidentiality. I'm unable to like share specifics on that, but
Right. Right.
I think the most challenging relationships are the ones that help you see your blind spots, man. You know,
mm,
like
mm,
the ones that don't vibe with you, or the ones that you don't get to a second meeting. I learned the most from those ones. Like we have a consultation and they say you're not the person for me. I'm like, cool. Like when I was younger, I'd be like, all right, this is failure. Like to me now is not failure. It's like now it's learning. Now I actually like have the emotional awareness as well as like the platform to be like, hello, like this person here. Like what exactly is it that I wasn't able to connect with you in the situation? And then I want as much of that information as possible because to me, I'm consistently operating from a position of information deficit. Like I see
Right.
things here, boom, this is what I see. But then like if we're driving, for example, like no matter how good of a driver you are, there's just inherently always going to be blind spots. So my job as not even a consultant or a coach, but my job as a human is to like open that up, open my vision up as wide as possible. So like my blind spots become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller after each negative interaction I want to learn from them.
Well said. Well
Yeah,
said, bro.
appreciate it, man.
Concept of blind spots, I think I used a similar analogy in one of the pods I did, and I was talking about friendships and how,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes like the friends that we end up not connecting with, the signs were there all along. We just
Oof.
couldn't see the periphery. Like we
Yeah.
just couldn't see it. And
Yeah.
I use friendship as a overall term for any relationship.
Yeah.
There's a reason why things don't work out, and sometimes that's how you get into like an accident because you switch a lane, and this person comes,
Yeah.
boom, because you didn't see them. So I love the concept of blind spots for sure. And I think talking about limitless stories and podcasts, I think we got us. Take us through why you named that pod. We got us. Where'd that name come from?
For me, it's strictly comes from when we were like growing up in the basketball community. It would be a lot of, even like you said earlier, it's a lot of when I asked you to explain the poster, the first thing you said was, I've got you, right? I got you. So a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
times I want to, as much as possible, create this collective energy where we're all heading in the same direction. So I thought about like one of the first things I think about when it comes to scoring a basket, for example. How many things does it take for that needs to go right for us to be able to create that advantage for you to score a basket? Like we need to secure a defensive rebound. We throw an outlet pass. We run the set. Two people set you this. Two people set you an off-ball screen. You come through. You catch a curl, and then you go and finish. Right. So like that's
Right.
like six things that happen before like we create this thing for you. So really, I just want to create like collective identity as much as possible because I think like as we go into like we're on a Zoom call right now, obviously, but then like as we head into this electronic world, I think it's more important now more than ever to like highlight that humans are a collective species and like we need to stick together in order to accomplish more.
I love your mind. I like the way you think because I
Thank you.
truly I agree with that 100%. The more digital we get, the more I see the importance of connection, right? Like
Yeah,
at
man.
the core essence for me, we're wired to connect.
Yeah,
One of my questions, I'll segue, this is off topic.
yeah.
I'll segue to like ask you a quick question. Do you think human beings are wired for connection or survival? And if you give an answer, you got to give me why.
Have you answered this before? I just need more time to think, so I'm asking you for your
It's yeah, you love doing that. I
answer.
can
Yeah.
tell.
I'm buying myself time, bro.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Sometimes if you don't know, it's okay to say,
Yeah.
"Hey,
I'm thinking, like I'm thinking
let
about
me
it. And
circle back to you." I think I've asked that question to quite a bit of people, and my answer keeps changing over time. But it kind of, I won't give you like an answer, but I'll give you like a paraphrasal,
yeah,
conceptual answer. I will say it's essential for human beings to connect because to me, connection is what allows you to, let's say you're in the Amazon forest by yourself and there's another
yeah,
human being that you need to track, and there's dangerous animals that potentially can kill both of you.
yeah.
You have to find a way to connect to this person in order to have a chance
Right,
against this one animal, right?
right.
So before you survive, you have to connect because either way, if it comes to you one on one, that's a 50-50 that I'm not willing to take. But if I
Yeah,
could add another person and another person, so
yeah,
from that connection, then we can survive because
yeah,
now
yeah.
we can distract this one animal.
Right.
But then this one person shared this with me. In order for you to connect, your body needs to survive. And your body is made
Yeah,
up of microorganisms that are always constantly trying to survive. Your heart, your white blood cells, red blood cells,
yeah.
any biological component of your body needs to survive in your body before you
Yeah.
actually even have life. So when
Right,
they
right,
shared to
right.
me that perspective, I was like, wait a minute, you kind of spitting, bro. Like,
Yeah,
What? Like, I never thought of it like that. Like, if I break it
right.
down to molecules, like, okay, you're right. Like,
Hmm.
then the essence of us is kind of like to make sure that our bodies survive.
Yeah,
So I think it's a cross section of both. That's okay. I gave you my answer.
yeah,
Like, for me,
perfect.
it's a cross section of both.
Yeah, and I would say like if I could only have one, I'm going survival first because like there's this concept in rudimentary psychology called like Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Right.
If you've seen that, so like
Yeah.
the pyramid,
Mm-hmm.
similar to your boy's answer or your girl's answer. We can't have belonging, we can't have love, we can't have all these things if we're not surviving first. If we don't have shelter, if we don't have food, all of that. So, but absolutely, when it comes to when we get higher up into the chain,
Right.
I'm all about the collaboration. I'm all about the connection. But I think when it comes to like setting the foundation first, let's make sure we all let's make sure we have taken care of ourselves first. Even like going back to the airplane thing, right? I know I'm making a lot of aviation similes today, but like when
Mm-hmm.
before you take off, you're always showing that little video to be like, even if you have a in case of emergency, if the mask drops, you've got to take care of like you put on your own mask before you put it on like your loved ones, right? So I think like something
Right.
like that.
Right.
If we go into the ocean and you don't have that mask on, then your 6 year old beside you is gonna struggle anyway.
Yeah, right. That's another good one. Like, you gotta
Yeah,
take care of yourself first. You gotta
yeah,
survive
take care
first
of yourself.
before you give somebody else the
Yeah, yeah,
that ability to survive themselves.
yeah,
And it kind of the reason why I asked that question for me personally to go back to like a concept of I didn't study psychology, but I love how
yeah.
the mind works. When somebody tells me survival, I kind of it's bad, but I kind of judge it from a place of like, you probably grew up with a lot of you need like you have to accomplish a lot of needs. Like you need a lot to go your way so that you cater to your
Hmm.
needs. Like that's kind of like it indicates to me from your childhood like you needed something. There were
Right.
certain needs that you need. And then when somebody tells me connection, I'm like, oh, your emotional needs were taken care of. So you're
Yeah,
more
yeah,
about like, making sure that your intrapersonal relationships are good. Like you're not really necessarily worried about surviving because maybe you had that. Maybe you didn't
yeah,
struggle to get the things that you needed. But then your emotional needs definitely were taken care of, or maybe they weren't taken care of. So I kind
yeah,
of use that to kind of gauge it a little bit. It could be wrong, it could be right,
yeah,
but it's just like a simple way for me to like get to understand,
yeah, yeah,
how do you think?
for sure.
What really
Yeah.
steps into you as a thought pattern?
So I think like connection is more important. However, survival is essential. I think that there's a duality there. Like when once you have that, like you said, once you have these met, then like connect the f out of life. You know, like life is beautiful. Go make as many in relationships that you need. Because I want to be careful. And I was about to say make as many relationships as you can, but then like not everyone is energized by being around other people. So make as many relationships as you need to have self fulfillment and to feel love around you and so you can be your best self.
Right. So yeah, as you said, like not everyone is energized being around people. I think that's a concept that uh we also have to accept as a reality, and also the
Yeah,
duality of two things can coexist at the same time,
right.
right? Um so as you said that, like I'm curious, like what did you learn the most about shooting a podcast? I also want to just learn game from you, like,
Yeah.
what made you dive into that world? When did you realize that, oh, this is something I want to do? And how did that evolve as you kind of got into the field and actually put up the shots?
I think the number one thing I've learned is that not everyone needs an instant answer. You know, I think like you and I are wired in a way where we're quick with it. You know, like we're able to the delta between receiving information and then providing our own take information isn't that large. However, when it comes to people who are more analytical or introverted who don't need that many relationships around them,
Hmm.
sometimes the best thing you can do with those people is to provide them with time. You know, one of the things I've learned is to slow down your rate of speech so then you can give them more time to think about it. You know, like if you can view like if you start sensing like the vibes aren't right, et cetera, et cetera. So like, but not everyone's like us. You know, like
Mm-hmm. I was literally singing. Then I like us. Like.
so, but to give people the opportunity to like in real life when it's not when it's not depending on the industry, of course. In real life, when it's not as cutthroat as the top of the rap game, we're all just out here trying to get the best out of each other. So, even in the rap game, like when you challenge someone to a rap battle, you want them to elevate that for that next track. So
Right.
yeah, that's what I've learned.
I think that's a
Everyone
beautiful
has different
lesson.
processing time.
Right. I think that's a beautiful lesson that I learned in one of my personal relationships earlier on. Just the ability, like, to meet somebody halfway, because
Yeah.
not everyone is wired to receive, process, and then release information at the same rate. It's very different. We're wired differently, and you have to understand
It's a
that.
lot of stuff, man. It's a three-step process. It's a lot of stuff.
Man, as you said, to score one basket, to go back to your basketball analogy, like, there's a lot of shit
Yeah,
that gotta secure the rebound, outlet
yeah,
pass, double screen, curl.
all that,
Bro, that's a lot.
all of it.
Just for one basket, 2 points? Come on now.
And we gotta do that shit like 60 times.
60 times, bro. Like, hey, bro, come on, bro. It's
Yeah, yeah,
crazy. It's crazy how
yeah,
things just gotta work out, bro. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, like I'm super happy that you're sharing these concepts. And just as a segue towards the end of the episode, like,
Yeah.
I like to ask people, like, what, when it boils down to one thing, what does it boil down to for Gabe? It all boils down to
Humility,
humility.
because however high that you climb in the ranks that you do, or how I think there's to wrap this all up full circle, to go to reference your poster behind you, even though you are perceiving to yourself to that this is going to be a long journey. I'm climbing this thing by myself. At some point, you have to be humble enough to be like, with yourself or with others, to be like, yo, I need a little bit of help here. Like in order for you could go, you could see how far you can go. But at the same time, if you are humble enough and gracious enough with the people around you to be like, yo, I need a little bit of help here, you could get there 10 times as fast.
Right.
So it's also humility, and when it comes to, for me, when it comes to hearing from people around me, like you mentioned, I work with adults and children. So when it comes to, I'll leave you with one last story for our limitless stories segment.
Right.
So
Right.
I coached the same grade group of 11 and 12-year-old girls the last 2 seasons, and to open our season last year in January, so January 20, at the beginning of this top of this year, 2024, we played to open the season. We played the same team we played in the third place game of last year's end of season tournament, which we beat them by like 28, but we lost this time by like 8. So I was curious. I was like, so we had a little classroom discussion after, and I said, girls, like, what happened here? Like, I'm opening up the floor here because like I think we were better than this. Right? So and they straight up said, like, our captain, who I have a lot of trust in, she said, Coach, I think these lineups were trash.
Oof.
So I had to like really be humble and like look inwards and be like, all right, cool. And I realized that they were trash. No, they were mid, let's say, because
Right.
the girls had so much fun in their grade 6 year that 2 of their friends joined this year. So the lineups were all mixed up. I wasn't able to put on the same lineups as last time because
Mm-hmm.
we now had to incorporate 2 new athletes, which took us to 11. And then one athlete had to double sit every single time.
Mm.
Right. So for me to have the humility to actually listen to that. Good.
Okay. You're
Yeah,
good.
we're good. You can just piece it
Yeah.
together. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
I think my headphones died. My bad. Yeah, I'll put on these one.
It's all good.
Hopefully you can piece it together after though.
No, it was pretty like microseconds.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Good here.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Okay.
good.
Yeah. So I think so in that moment I said, can you make what lines would you like to see? So
Mm.
I went to the board behind me, gave them the marker. They said, make this one change because these two people want to play together. I made the change, and then from then on, we wanted like a 4-game winning streak after that. So
Wow.
when it comes to doesn't matter if it's with a 10-year-old or with someone who's like, or you're talking to your parents or whatever. Like for me, humility is the foundation to everything, because if you're not humble enough to listen, then I personally can never learn. So I'm gonna leave with that.
Man, that story is so beautiful, bro. Like it actually encompasses like what you believe in, like humility. It
Yeah, man.
takes a great ton of humility for an established mind like yours to be told, "Hey, bruh, them lineups you threw out there, they cost us the game, bruh." Like,
Yeah.
I know you're a basketball genius and you watched all this
Uh,
film and all that, but bro, that's not it.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's insane to me because you're so right, bro. Like as you said, talking about the poster, like and to full circle, we've been talking about the poster, which is
Yeah.
great because full circle moment for me as well to just tie into your lesson that I think I resonate with is at that point in my life when I got this poster, it was more about me coming from a
Right.
place of survival, coming from a place of I gotta get out of this fuck
Yeah.
excuse my language. I gotta get out of this fucking mess that I'm in, and I
Yeah.
need to start walking to the top, but with people coming with me. I can't go
Mm.
alone. And the reason why now I can be able to execute Limitless is because I just didn't want it to be stories about Greg. I wanted
Yeah.
to be the facilitator to be able to get people to talk about their stories so that they can they can inspire other people, and we as a collective can
Right.
help ourselves. We got us.
We got us, man.
So at the end of the day, I just realized like, yo, if I'm gonna do something, I want it to be of service to the community and the community that believes in themselves enough to say, I have limitless potential. But the
Yeah.
only way I could kind of like curate that was through stories because I do have a story that I felt like resonated a lot with people. And I was like, you know what? Platform where people share stories. Let's talk. That's
Yeah.
it. And just kind of like a full circle moment to finish the ep. It's like you're right. Humility and the ability to have other people come and join you or give you feedback. Your ability to like process and implement that feedback from what accepting constructive criticism. I feel like
Yeah.
we tend to think we have it figured out and we don't. So at the end of the day, like even me
Yeah.
asking the question like, how can I be better at doing this podcast? You've had a podcast, you have a
Yeah.
podcast. So it's like I could learn so much by just being humble and asking. That's all I could do. And then I could suck up the game that you give me. So
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But I think like to combine those concepts as well, though, like I think you've done a lot of work when it comes to your self belief. I think there's belief and there's humility when it comes to soaking up what people have said to you, but at the same time to have the belief to execute on what you see and what you feel as well. I think there's an intersection there. So
right. And I think you mentioned that at one point, the ability where you were talking about the counsel of your boys giving you
yeah,
feedback when it comes to like stuff that you want to run by them, but
yeah,
the independence of your thinking to execute at what you know is best for Gabe.
yeah,
I think
exactly, man.
that's like the beautiful intersection of like being humble and also executing from a place of humility. So
Yes, sir. Beautiful, man.
yes, sir, man. Hey, man, Gabe, we appreciate you. So, final thoughts. Where can people follow you? Where can people come see your work with coaching? Um, just tell us a little bit about your socials and how people can connect with you.
Yeah, man. I'm sure I'll send you all the information when it comes to my socials and stuff. But I'm also rebranding my coaching and consulting website right now. So hopefully I'll have that up in the next couple of weeks, and I'm sure I'm looking forward to connecting with every single person to be able to every single person who resonates with this in some way, shape, or form. Because I think, like we said earlier, like connection's the most important thing, especially as we move to a digital age.
All right.
If you see me on the streets, just come say hi, because that's the ultimate form of connection, you know.
All right. Y'all remember the story where ask
Hey,
him about his wallpaper.
ask me about
That's
my
how you
wallpaper.
get him. That's how you get him.
Hey,
But
let's go.
yeah, bro,
Yeah,
I appreciate you for taking the time to come through, bro. I've learned so much from you. I appreciate your insights. I appreciate your energy. I feel like I've learned quite a bit, and this is just the beginning. Thank you for being a part of Limitless, bro. God bless, and we'll definitely talk more
yeah,
offline,
offline, man,
off the
offline.
record. All right, bro. For real. Peace.